Hope everybody's having a good day. It's November 9th, 2017, and I've had some more, and you know how the solar eclipse in 2017 and 2024 made an X. Well, this video, probably the first part of it won't seem to make any sense, but we'll just look at that X, and it'll make sense at the end. And we're going to start in Isaiah 7 verse 2. And the things today are going to be the thickets, the eclipse paths, and America. Back to 7. And this is the alliance of Syria and Israel against Judah. 7 verse 2, and it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim. Ephraim means twin land. And his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. You know, basically with what they're told. You know, which way is the wind going? We're going to go to Isaiah 9 and verse 18. You look at what's going on all around you in America. Think about that. And we'll read this verse, Isaiah 9 and verse 18. For wickedness burns as a fire. It shall devour the briars and the thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they shall mount up like the lifting up of smoke. And Edom means red or rosy. That was a bad one. And we're going to flip over to Isaiah 10 and 33. Start in verse 32. And yet as he shall remain at Nob that day, he shall shake his hand against the mount of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Verse 33, Behold, the Lord of hosts shall lop the bough with terror, that's a limb on a tree, and the high ones of stature shall he hew down. That shows that limbs and trees are people. Right there it confirms it. And the haughty shall be humble. Verse 34, And he shall cut down the thickets of the forest, with Arn and Lebanon shall fall by a mighty one. So now, we'll just look at this. The name Alabama comes from an Indian word, and it means clearing or opening the thicket. So you put 2 and 2 together right there. We turn over now to Isaiah 28. Start to sound familiar. Isaiah 28, Woe to Ephraim! Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is as a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys, meaning fat, meaning having plenty, and which are on the head of the fat valleys of them who are overcome with wine, meaning pleasures and things they like to do, and God not being first. That's kind of what this points to. Verse 2, Behold, the Lord has a mighty and strong one, which is a tempest of hail, and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters, overflowing shall cast down to the earth with the hand. Verse 3, The crown of pride and the drunkards of Ephraim shall be trodden under feet. For in the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be as a fading flower, and as the hasty fruit before the summer, which one looks upon it sees, while it is yet in his hand he eats it up. Well, if you can think about it, what video was it I had recently where I talked about a flower, and it was hasty, and the richest people in the world at that time, and that hurricane went there that I had dreamed. Verse 5, and that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a spirit of judgment to him who sits in judgment, and a strength to him who turned the battle to the gate. You know, where you come in, the cities had walls around them way back in those days. And Isaiah 28 verse 6. And where else do you see a lot of pride? I'm just asking the question. I'm going to go over here to Jeremiah. And there's one verse in here that in Jeremiah 51, I can't remember exactly what number it is. Or no, it's 50. Sorry about that. It's Jeremiah 50 verse 38, not 51. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up, for it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Well, you look at TV in America, how many statues they're talking about and all that stuff. They're mad upon their idols. And this here is the immediate judgment sword, you know, talking about coming upon the Chaldeans, and you know, the wise men and all of that, and upon their horses, and judgment on Babylon. Well, they're mad upon their idols right now. Now we go to Revelation now. In Revelation 13, I'll read verse 1 and 2. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns were 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as a bear, and his mouth was the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him the power, and his seat was great authority. Just go look around and see how many times you can find the number 13 come up in American history. And I haven't forgotten about the Eclipse Path yet. Revelation 13. Now we're going to go back to the book of Job here. And we're going to go to 38. (38, 22 and 23). Have you entered into the treasures of the snow? Have you seen the treasures of the hail? Verse 23, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war. Remember the dream about a week ago? That bear cat evac? Well, I just read about it in Revelation 13 there, and need to be saved so you can go to heaven when sudden judgment happens. You know, on Babylon that they don't see coming and comes on a day they don't expect. And I don't know that date. I have no idea what that date is, and not going to set that date. Turn right over here. Sorry it's taken me a minute. Don't always just go right to it. Then we got, I'm just going to read this, what it is. It's in Ezekiel 26 through 28. Read those about Tyrus and the ships of Tarshish and judgment on the prince of Tyrus and the lamentation for the angelic king of Tyrus. And sadly, that's a reflection of America. I'm just telling you the truth so you ain't caught off guard. Things are not what people think they are, and I'm just telling the truth about it. And most of the things that are going on lead to death, and the path looks pretty. And a lot of things in America look pretty, you know, and are tempting now, but they lead to death, and I'm being truthful about it. And the only path that leads to heaven, the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and there ain't no other path. And read Ezekiel 26 through 28, and then we'll flip over here. To Ezekiel 32, 17 through 32. And that's where the nations join each other in hell. And that's where it is in this book. Ezekiel 32, 17 through 32. Turn over one more. And the watchman's duty. Ezekiel 33. And if you had watched, you saw an X over America, and everything was revolving around the number 33. And had an annular eclipse, May the 30th, I think 1984. 33 years, and everything kept coming to 33. It was telling you to watch, and just remember that. We're going to go back here. This will make sense in a few minutes. This will make sense. Sorry, I'm having to look these things up. I don't have them marked off. Now we're there. Job 41, 31. He makes the deep to boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. He makes the path to shine after him. One would think to be deep and hoary or pretty, and beautiful. And upon earth there is not his like who is made without fear. He beholds all the high things, and he is the king over all the children of pride. So X marks the spot, and after the tribulation, war is not going to be studied anymore. And they gonna have the 1,000-year reign after that, and yeah, the civil matter is gonna be over with, and you go right down there to Alabama, and then you look at the 2 eclipse paths, and I'm sure you can search it out from here. And I'll give you a hint. It had 13 of them on it. And look at your eclipse path to see what it looked like. And I confess that there are no coincidences with God. I run across a picture of it, and they didn't even know it, but in the background, you'd overlaid a map over this thing where that little thing was hiding in the background. You would have seen the total solar eclipse of 2017. And put it this way, and then look at that eclipse path. What do you see? We'll study war no more, and mystery Babylon is going to be judged. And you go right down to Alabama, that means clearing the trees out. And I had a dream the other night. They're going to be they're getting ready to cut trees, and that's a picture of cities and peoples and nations, and Babylon has sinned against the Lord, and I'm not without sin, so I'm not going to cast any stones, and I'm not anybody's judge, and I'm just telling the truth about what's happening. And the path, America is on, that's not the path to life. I'm just telling the truth, and most probably won't like it, but need to find Jesus Christ to find the path to life. And just go look up the Civil War, and Jesus comes back. The war is not going to be studied anymore. X marks the spot. And right where they crossed in that picture, I see in the background that diamond ring of that total solar eclipse right after it come out, and then the other one comes up, and they cross right there. X marks the spot. Go search it out.